I'm 74 years old now, and I can feel how close the walls are getting, not in a dramatic way. Just in the way mornings come faster and nights don't really end anymore. After 45 years of living as an adult man, making choices I thought were reasonable, even smart, I finally understand life. And the strange thing is, I understood it only when there wasn't much left to do with that understanding. Most days, I sit at the small kitchen table by myself. Same table I bought decades ago when I thought furniture was something you upgraded later. The wood is worn smooth where my arms rest. I notice things like that now. I notice how quiet the house is, how the clock sounds louder than it used to. Time doesn't rush anymore. It just waits and watches me. I used to think life was something you figured out by moving forward, career, family, obligations. You pick a direction, you commit, and meaning shows up eventually. That's what I believed for most of my life. Not because anyone lied to me, but because that's what everyone around me seemed to be doing. So I followed along. I didn't question it much. I assumed clarity would come later. When I was in my 20s, I was serious. Not unhappy, just focused. I thought seriousness was a sign of responsibility. I had plans, and I protected them. I worked long hours and felt proud of it. I told myself I was building something solid. I didn't waste time lingering in moments. Moments felt in my 30s sped up to marriage, children, a mortgage, a job that took more than it gave. I wasn't cruel or neglectful, not intentionally. I was present in the ways that could be measured. Paid bills. Showed up, provided. I thought that was the agreement. I thought love was proven by stability. There were small signals even then. My wife would sigh when I talked about work for too long. My kids would stop asking me to come outside after a while, not because they didn't want me, but because they learned the answer ahead of time. I noticed, but I told myself it was temporary. Everything felt temporary. I assumed there would be a season when things slowed down. I kept telling myself, after this project, or after this promotion, or after things settle. I didn't realize that things don't actually settle. They just change shape. And you get older inside the same motion. By my 40s I was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. But I was also respected. People listened when I spoke. That felt important. I confused being needed with being valued. I thought the weight I carried meant I mattered. I didn't see how. Heavy it was making me. The damage wasn't loud. That's the part people don't talk about. It was quiet. Missed dinners. Short answers. Forgetting birthdays without meaning to. Coming home mentally gone. No single moment where everything. Broke, just a slow thinning. My marriage didn't end in a fight. It ended in exhaustion. Two people sitting across from each other realizing they'd become careful strangers. We didn't hate each other. That almost made it worse. There was nothing to blame. Just too much distance built one day at a time. I remember packing my things. Not much fit in the boxes that should have told me something. Decades together reduced to what I could carry. I told myself it was necessary. That I was doing the right thing by not pretending anymore. I didn't ask myself why pretending had become the default. The years after that blur together. Work continued. The kids grew up. They called less, not out of anger. Just life, that's what I told myself. They're busy, They have their own families, and they did. But I also hadn't given them much practice needing me emotionally. There was a day, much later, when my doctor said something calmly that split time in half, a diagnosis. Not immediate, not dramatic, just enough to change the future into something smaller. I nodded like a reasonable man, asked practical questions, drove myself home. That night, I sat in the dark living room and realized I had no one to call. I could have called my kids, but I didn't want to worry them. I could have called friends, but I didn't know how to begin. I sat there listening to the refrigerator hum and felt something crack open. That was the turning point, I suppose. Not fear of dying, exactly. Fear of having lived in a way that made this moment so empty. I thought back to all the times I'd chosen efficiency over presence, all the conversations I rushed through, all the silences I filled with excuses. I finally understood that life isn't built from the big decisions you justify. It's built from the small moments you either inhabit or abandon. I'd abandoned more than I knew. Some things can't be fixed. That's the part no one prepares you for. You can apologize, but time doesn't reopen the same doors. My kids are kind to me now, polite, loving in a distant way. I don't blame them. We're all standing where our choices led us. I don't regret working hard. I regret assuming that effort automatically translated into connection. I regret believing there would be time later to feel things more deeply. Later is a fragile promise. These days, I move slower. Listen more. Not because I've become wise, but because I've lost the illusion of urgency. When someone speaks, I let the silence hang after. I notice how much people reveal if you don't rush to respond. Your lyssning I this Anton Herweis. I don't believe in that anymore. I just have a truth I arrived at too late. Life isn't something you solve. It's something you stay with. And staying is harder than it looks. I'm not unhappy now. Just clear. Clarity comes with a cost. Acceptance is quiet. There's no music behind it. Just breathing and memory. And the understanding that this was my life exactly as it unfolded. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. That's enough for me now.